Hey, welcome to our episode of Whiskey Wednesday. So, no guests this time, just going it alone. This is my first time having Irish whiskey ever, as far as I can remember. So, we got two different contenders I got at Total Wine. So, first up, we got Kilbrin Irish whiskey, 40% ABV, that's 80 proof. Doesn't really say much about it on the bottle. Actually, it doesn't say anything about it on the other bottle either. For proper 12. Although this is interesting, if you look really close, it says aged 4 years in bourbon barrels. Odd, I think. I don't know if that's normal or what, but anyway, in the glass, the Kilbrin is slightly lighter than the proper 12. I mean, you probably can't really tell on this camera. This is the Kilbrin. Yeah, I mean, it's just this is like the difference is between like a deep gold and a light amber. Very, very clear, I will say. So let's give it a whiff. We'll start with the Kilbrin. Okay, this one has kind of a sweet aroma, at least for whiskey. By the way, I should have said this at the beginning of the show. I mean, I don't claim to be a whiskey expert at all. This is just my exploration into whiskey and seeing what I get, you know. So, yeah, so this has slightly, almost like honey or something, or flowers. I mean, there's definitely an alcohol presence there as well. I even call it maybe even like a faint bit like citrusy or lemony or something like that. Or maybe it's just like a fruity character. Let's check out the proper 12. Okay, this one has a little bit more of the fusel alcohol. Like this one smells a little bit more like, you know, paint thinner or something. I don't really pick up on bourbon exactly. I will say this one is much woodier though. This one has a much like a bigger bourbon or not bourbon, like a barrel character to it. Maybe a little vanilla or kind of toasted almond. Whereas the Kilbrin is, yeah, this is like a meadow, very yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say it's like super sweet, but it just has like this like natural, like like kind of a vineyard or some kind of a terroir character to it. Whereas this one, the proper 12 smells like something a little more familiar, I should say. So I would say of all the whiskeys we've had so far, the Kilbrin has like I don't know if I would say most unique, but you know, a smell that's different from everything that I can recall. So let's dive into the Kilbrin. Cheers. Wow. That's really smooth. I was just about to say it didn't make me cough, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, these are both 80 proof, and this one feels like it. You know, it's definitely got some heft to it, and it tastes very similar to how it smells. I would call it like a slightly honey, or maybe like honeysuckle is what is the word I'm looking for. Very honey. Well, not very honey, just honey is just the first thing that comes to my mind. And like I said, it does have a very floral kind of character to it on the aroma and on the palate. You know, pretty warming, but I would say it is pretty smooth for the most part. This one is not spicy. Most whiskeys, doesn't matter if it's, you know, Canadian, bourbon, Scotch, whatever. Like there's always like a bit of a spice character to it, usually just from the alcohol or from like the wood. This one doesn't have any kind of spice really at all. All right, so I would say so far so good on the Kilburn. Let's give the proper 12 a proper review. Cheers. Wow. All right, they are. I don't know if I go so far as say night and day difference, but it's definitely a noticeable difference on this one. I mean, the first thing that I picked up was the mouthfeel on the proper 12 is much thicker. It's this is almost a little syrupy, almost. I will say this one's smoother. That could be from the bourbon barrel aging. It doesn't really taste like bourbon exactly. Most bourbons to me tend to be very sweet, very like vanilla, woody. This one has a I would definitely I said it smelled pretty woody. It does taste pretty woody, but I wouldn't really call it vanilla or anything like overly sweet like that. This one's more earthy than sweet. This one has it's odd because like to me this one is much hotter than the Kilbrin, but at the same time it's actually kind of smoother. I think because maybe like the thicker mouthfeel probably helps with that. Like it kind of has like a like the way an imperial stout would be, kind of like coats the tongue, coats my throat coat tea, you know. I would say that the oddly enough the proper 12 seems to have like a little bit less, just like less overall to it. Like the Kilburn has like the sweet kind of floral kind of thing going. Yeah, no, that I'm going back and forth between the two. Like the differences between them stand out really well, or really prominently, I should say. Yeah, the proper 12 to me, it just seems a little bit more muted or basic, maybe is the word I'm looking for. It doesn't seem like as complex. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more complexity out of the Kilbrin. I do like that honey and like the floral character on this one. Mouthfeel is definitely lighter on the Kilbrin, even though they're both 40% ABV or 80 proof, whatever you want to call it. Between the two, I oddly enough, I have to give the preference to the Kilbrin. I thought for sure I was gonna like this one better because it was aged in bourbon barrels. But again, like it doesn't really have. It doesn't. I'm just not enough of a whiskey connoisseur. I mean, I'm reading Lou Bryson's tasting whiskey book right now. By the way, I should have mentioned what's interesting about the Irish whiskey is that it says before the spirit even gets to this hot coppery maize, it gets to the addition that makes it unique: raw, unmalted barley in the brewhouse. This is the oddity that defines single pot still Irish whiskey. Well, it may well have been the product of a sly, cost-saving method in the mid-1800s to deduct the UK tax on malt by replacing part of the mash with unmalted barley. Yeah, and that's interesting because like Irish whiskey is almost all malt. I mean, some of them do have corn or rye or whatever in them, but they're more malt forward, whereas like bourbon is like mostly corn. But I can't really pick that out. I mean, if Lou Bryson was here, I'm sure he would, like, oh yeah, this is malt, this is corn, this is rye. But yeah, all right. So I'm going super long. Again, I'm gonna say between these two, I like the Kilburn better, but they're both. I would give both a thumbs up, and so far I've given everything on this show a thumbs up. I haven't found anything that would give a thumbs down to yet. Maybe I'll do Fireball for the next episode. I don't know. All right, so if you watch all the way in, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for Cider Saturday. Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Review.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.